All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the official episode 1 of the Bring the Juice podcast. It is a big week in sports. It's a big month, really, you could say, in sports. The NBA Finals are on right now, actually, along with the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 3 of the NBA Finals was last night. While we're filming this, the Stanley Cup Finals were on. We might get into a little bit of that later. Obviously, you know my stance on hockey if you saw the first episode. I do have two special guests with me today. To my left, you can't see us, but to my left is T-Sauce, and to my right is B. Schmo, both basketball connoisseurs and enthusiasts. A lot of what we talk about today is going to be about the NBA Finals, so I figured might as well bring them on. They are the first guests of the Bring Juice podcast. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
Again, great to have y'all. Let's get right into it. Last night, Game 3, Warriors-Raptors. The Raptors put on a showing. Now, granted, Clay was out, and obviously no KD. If you're the Raptors, let's say, for example, they go on to win the series. Bishmo, will start with you. Do you feel like, is it as special because the Warriors have been so undermanned?
It's a good question. I mean, honestly, I think regardless if Clay's playing or KD's playing, I mean, beating the Warriors is still, I mean, the Raptors haven't won a championship in their franchise.
Sure, yeah.
So I feel like regardless if they get it done, it's going to be a special thing. But without Clay and KD, the Warriors are still very good.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, Steph put up like 48 or something last night. I mean, he put up a big performance. So when they're out, I feel like, Steph has more weight on his shoulders to do what he does.
A lot of more players have stepped up too. Like Quinn Cook has been playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
He's had good minutes, and Iggy hit a big shot the other night.
Yeah, he seems like he waits till every finals to show up.
Right.
And then he does, and I mean, it's you need
because in postseasons you need to play actual defense. And
true. Turley, what about you? Do you think it's just special for the Raptors, even though the Warriors have been so underrated? Because if Clay and KD do come back, then maybe it'll be it'll be looked at as harder and better if you do beat them all.
I mean, I think it should still be special because not only did they have to beat the Bucks to get here, so it's not just like the finals, but like their whole season has overall been pretty good, and so I still would take it as special. Just got lucky, I guess.
Yeah, true. Let's get a couple biases out of the way because later in the episode we'll ask a few opinions. Bishmo, you're a Thunder fan, correct? Like you root for Thunder, and you're a Blazers fan, Noah. You absolutely had to suffer the wrath of the Warriors, unfortunately for your Blazers, but that was without KD, and they swept them. And so, but despite that, the Raptors did beat the Warriors with Clay in game 1. So the Raptors, even without Clay, or even with Clay, the Raptors still show that they can stay with them and even beat them. And because the series is in Toronto, stealing a game like last night is going to be huge. You guys think if Clay doesn't play, I heard KD's already out for game 4, so no Kevin Durant for game 4. If Clay doesn't play and the Raptors do pull off that win, are the Warriors in trouble?
I think the Warriors are in trouble now.
I agree.
Hot take.
I think that
because a lot of people seem to think that they're fine. That was my feeling after last night. I was like, nah, they're going to be fine. At what point do you say like they're in trouble now?
To me, if I'm a Warrior or a Warrior fan, I would say now. For them to come into your home court and steal the first game, I mean, that kind of sets the tone. So even if they don't pull it out in game 4.
Yeah, game 4 is
then, I mean,
tomorrow night, yeah.
They're still in a great position going back home in a few games to try to take the lead.
Yeah, the cards are like in the Raptors' hands right now, especially having home court advantage, which is a big plus. And just, they have the momentum, I'd say.
Another thing that that I kind of noticed in game 3 was when the Warriors went on runs, there's very few teams that can stop the bleeding. And it seemed like any time that the Warriors went on a run, there was always an answer, regardless if it was
And I think
Kawhi, Danny Green had a great game 3.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He
had 5-6 threes.
Remember a few years ago against the Heat when he was on the Spurs, he had 9 threes that game. I don't remember the exact amount, but he was just raining threes. He should again. He's kind of like Iguodala. He just shows up in the clutch moments.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like in the middle of the games when you need big scoring runs. That's kind of what Danny Green's been able to do. All right, so that's pretty much about the game. Personally, I don't think the Raptors are. I wouldn't feel too comfortable as a Raptors fan right now, being that it is the Warriors and they still have their main pieces from when they started this run together, and Steph and Draymond. Draymond's been playing really well too, and honestly, a lot of people have been saying he might be deserving of the Finals MVP. I don't think so. I think Steph Curry probably is going to get that too if they do go on to win the series, just because of his performances in these games, keeping the Warriors actually in this game. Last night he scored 47. So, Steph Curry is kind of carrying the Warriors right now. If the Raptors go on to win this, I think there's no question Kawhi Leonard's going to be the MVP, because at the end of the day, he's still putting up the best stats. If the Warriors do win this, though, boys, if they come back down 3-1 and they get KD back for Game 5, and they win the next 3 games because of that, I don't really see a scenario in which Kevin Durant isn't the Finals MVP. I think Steph might get robbed again. Do you guys see that happening?
I don't know.
I feel like
if Steph still puts up good numbers, I think they'll give it to him.
I think personally I'm going to say no, because Curry is the one who puts him in that position for KD to come back. And I don't know, it's one of those things where that's such a big award. It's hard for somebody to come in and have one good game or 2 good games. I mean, there's such a big difference when KD's on the court, regardless if he has a monster game or not. It's just the presence of him being on the court, and that's not really something that you get a reward for. But
yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think his presence is that so huge when it spreads the floor so much more. When you have a guy like Andre Iguodala out there who can shoot, but definitely not to the degree that KD can, though. Not really even close. So on the sidelines, stuff has been happening all playoffs. Obviously, we know Drake. He's been massaging coaches' shoulders and getting in the faces of players. And last night, an investor of the Warriors shoved Kyle Lowry. So it kind of went the other way this time. Obviously, this person is not as famous as Drake, and so they got banned from, I think, either just the Warriors arena or every NBA game from now on. Are you guys okay with kind of the whole celebrity thing? If they're a celebrity, are you okay? Where do you draw the line to where it's only celebrities can do this, or do you think celebrities just get that kind of a special treatment if a no-name did it, like the person who did it last night? Do you guys think that's fair?
Well, to me, there's a huge difference. First of all, Drake, he hasn't touched an opponent. He hasn't done anything that deserves him to get banned. If it's that big of a deal that he's cheering on his team, I mean, if you want him to shut up, then beat him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as far as him touching the coach, it's not like he's. I mean, that's different. He's the ambassador of the Raptors, and I mean, I feel like if he was trying to do stuff with Steve Kerr or the other team, then it would be different, and that's kind of how it was for whoever it was, the investor or the fan that shoved Kyle Lowry. It was the opposite team, and it was. I don't want to say vicious, but it wasn't a. He was obviously upset with him, and it was a negative act. So I feel like that's the difference.
Well, yeah, I definitely think like what Bishmo said, if Drake did that to another team, the other team or whatever, obviously he'd be punished because it's just it's just not right, I guess. But since it was against the other team and it was he shoved them, it's just. You have to be punished for that. Now, if it was he's just talking to him or anything, I think a celebrity still would have been punished if they did that. But I don't know if it would be to the same extent, and all just depends on the
and
situation.
because Drake has been there for so long too. He's a lifelong Raptors fan. He's been at sidelines of games way before this too, and I think people almost expected it, or the NBA almost expects something like this. And a quick fact check on that: that person did not get banned for life; they're only banned for a year. Also on the sideline, something I didn't realize happened until I just read it. Jay-Z and Beyonce were on the sideline last night, and apparently the wife of the Golden State owner. This just came up. I'm just finding out about this. The wife of Golden State's owner got into a little bit of a confrontation with Beyonce and Jay-Z last night. I don't need an opinion. I'm just one reaction on that. Apparently, she asked him for a drink, and then Beyonce put on apparently Beyonce was cyberbullying her. Let me do some research on this. So just kind of react to that for a second.
On a side note of what we were just talking about Drake and the interactions of the players, I feel like it's not Drake that's making this a big deal. I think it's the players. The players are the ones that are feeding into it, and it's almost like they want that interaction, and they're indulging in conversations with him. That's on them. That's not Drake's fault.
True. All right. What else do we have here? So, back to the basketball aspect. So let's kind of look toward the future a little bit. We'll predict Game 4 later, maybe the rest of the series later. But from a pure basketball standpoint, do the Warriors need Kevin Durant? If they have Clay, let's say they have Clay, can they win the series without Kevin Durant? Is basically what I'm saying. Maybe play if they have. Maybe you can say if they have Clay, one scenario, and then if they have if they don't have Clay, another scenario.
Yes, they can still win the series.
Will it be as easy though?
No,
definitely
to me,
not. Right.
If Kevin Durant, obviously he isn't 100% healthy, but if Kevin Durant was playing in the series from the start, I think the series would be over in 5 or 6. I just think that it takes him to another level where, you add 20, 30 points to the scoreboard, and again, just the presence of him being on the court, I think it changes the whole series. But I still think that with Clay, they can pull it off. And even now without Clay, I think they can still make it interesting, but I would say the chip is on the Raptors if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I say with Clay, they could easily do it. Not easily, but it definitely would be different. I could see it going the Warriors' way. But with KD, his presence and just the lengthiness, and he's a lethal scorer. So you have to.
You take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, you have to. Now you need a really good defender on him.
Right.
And that takes off a really good defender on somebody else. So then, even if Kevin Durant's not scoring, it's getting open looks for somebody else.
Yeah. One of the reasons, though, some people are saying that they don't need KD or they're inherently better without him is just because of the little evidence they had in the first round against the Clippers, when with KD, they blew a 31-point lead to the Clippers. Another 3-1 for the Warriors. They can't stop blowing 3-1 leads, no matter what kind. So do you think that's fair to use just the Clippers series, or do you think maybe it's not a coincidence?
To me, I think anybody that says that having Kevin Durant on your team affects you in a negative way is an idiot. I feel like nobody. To pass up on Kevin Durant being on your team, granted, there's going to be games where, you're going to have games where you blow leads and stuff, but why do we say it's Kevin Durant's fault? It's still a team, and there's only so much one person can do. I think we as fans and stuff, we take little things and run with it, and we try to make things a bigger deal than what they really are.
All right, let's get into a new segment here called Buy or Sell. Now, kind of staying on the basketball topic, do you buy that Kevin Durant would want to leave Golden State losing the finals without Well, this is the tough one because in putting this together, I'm just realizing like, why would he leave if they lost it without him? Wouldn't he want to stay that way because that shows that they need him? And why would he leave a place where he's needed? But then again, he did leave OKC and they needed him essentially. So and that's a tough question, honestly. KD more than Clay and Boogie, who also have contracts expiring this year, because they're both good enough to the point to where like if the Warriors didn't have Clay. And they had KD. I don't think the results would be as negative as they are now. And they went pretty much this whole season without Boogie. So if Boogie's just ring chasing, I would stay. But do you buy that KD wants out and maybe just wants to go to New York or something with Kyrie or whatever?
I do feel like the thought of Kevin leaving is in his mind a little bit. I think it depends. I don't think he's going to be the first guy in the offseason to jump on a deal. I think with KD, it has more to do with other people making decisions than himself. I think Clay staying or leaving will have an effect on what he does, and I think what Kyrie decides to do also makes a big change in
True,
Kevin's decision.
If Kyrie signs with New York, what are the chances that you think, no, I'll ask you this, that KD would follow?
It's a 50-50.
If they lose the finals.
If they lose the finals, and does he play in the finals? Or
that's up for you. You can go through either scenario.
If he plays in the finals and they lose, I think he would definitely consider talking to New York. Now, let's say he doesn't play in the finals and they lose. I think he would stay just to show, they need.
Even in that scenario, personally, I could see him still leaving either way, because it's just the money would be with New York, and when you have all these guys on the Warriors who want all these big contracts, Steph's got a huge contract, Clay's going to want a huge contract. One of the three guys, Clay, I guarantee you, maybe even two of KD, Clay, and Boogie won't be on the team next year. Probably more likely one than two, and probably going to be Boogie, but. I don't know. If they don't win the finals, this is all up in the air, honestly, because it just all depends on how they lost it.
If they don't win, I could see Boogie trying to stay for a ring.
Maybe,
but also this depends on what Clay and KD do. If Clay dips, then I feel like Boogie would dip because they don't have as good of a chance. And then I don't know. Kevin Durant's just up in the air. That's it's just a huge 50-50.
To me, I feel like if Kevin Durant doesn't play and they lose, I feel like he proves a point without even playing. And I feel like at this point, through the years that he's been at Golden State, I feel like he would prove more if he goes to Brooklyn and tries to win a championship there as to staying with the Warriors.
Well, you say Brooklyn?
Yeah, Brooklyn. I've heard it's going to be Brooklyn.
The only time I've heard that was a few days ago. This is the first time I'd heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, I'm going to Brooklyn.
Well, yeah.
Why would I go to New York?
New York, I'm not going to lie. New York is kind of a dumpster fire.
And
it is. And Brooklyn, they're on the rise. They made the playoffs this year.
They have great pieces.
And
they have
Karis LeVert.
Now D'Angelo Russell. Joe Harris, amazing free.
Jarrett Allen.
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell is a free
Spencer
agent,
Doolittle.
Dinwiddie. Spencer Doolittle. D'Angelo Russell, though, is going to be a free agent. They just traded Alan Crabb, actually, and that's it today, for Torian Prince for the Hawks. I don't know how big of an impact that would have. But D'Angelo Russell is a free agent this year. Maybe Kyrie would maybe the Brooklyn Nets are more in this situation than we initially anticipated. If D'Angelo Russell signs with someone else, let's say, that opens the door to the point guard spot. And if your theory on Brooklyn is right, then Kyrie signs with Brooklyn, or vice versa, or if KD signs with Brooklyn, the other will probably join. And honestly, that team would be pretty nasty.
Well, if you're D'Angelo Russell, why would you leave if that's coming?
Right. Well, he knows, though. I feel like if you're D'Angelo Russell, you know if you stay, you're not going to get KD. Kyrie, D'Angelo Russell's good, but he's not Kyrie Irving.
Or if he stays, he's not going to get.
Yeah, he's not going to get that big star. Yeah, if I were KD, I wouldn't go to the Knicks, man. They're just not the same anymore. Like they had a couple good years with Melo, and then after that, Melo decided I don't really care about anyone else, and that franchise kind of just died.
I think it'd
Essentially,
be a whole different conversation if Porzingis was still in New York.
He is, for sure.
True. Yeah, the Knicks they did get Dennis Smith Jr. out of that, and DeAndre Jordan, but they aren't players that are going to attract KD necessarily. So, the Knicks, honestly, I didn't really ever think about the Nets seriously. Like I heard about the Nets being a possibility, but until you just said it, I didn't really think about the Nets as a legit possibility, but they might be. And honestly, that would be a fun team to watch. Kyrie and KD and on the Nets with Jared Allen underneath. That would be the East would be really good. The East would all of a sudden just be amazing.
So, what are the chances that if D'Angelo leaves the Nets, that he tries to go back to Los Angeles with LeBron?
Well, the Lakers are just as much of a mess right now.
Right.
They did just fire Magic Johnson. Or did he get fired or did he resign?
He resigned.
He resigned. Magic Johnson's gone. Whether or not now there's some conspiracy theories on there, whether or not he actually helped with the franchise or he was just like a figurehead just saying, hey, we have Magic Johnson, although he wasn't really making decisions maybe. That's a theory I've heard. He obviously wasn't happy with the way Lakers were running things. Obviously everyone knows that the GM, owner, head coach, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center on that team is LeBron James. Wherever he goes, that's pretty much been the story. What LeBron, I hate getting into LeBron because I hate LeBron. If you listen to the last episode, you know my hatred for LeBron. But he does run wherever he goes. And it would be like the Lakers to sign a guy like D'Angelo Russell, except D'Angelo Russell needs the ball, though. He's I wouldn't say he's a ball hog necessarily. That's not the right word to use.
He's at his best when he has the ball in his
But
hand.
he is. He had his first year as an all-star. His stats skyrocketed when Karis LeVert went down with that huge injury. And that's why he was able to have such a great season. Him and Jared Allen are pretty nice duo there in Brooklyn. But if he went to the Lakers, I don't know if he would be happy if he went back there. I don't know. It's an interesting situation. But if he did – back to KD, if he did leave, if D'Lo left, it kind of depends on in what order these things happen.
If I'm D'Angelo Russell, I'm staying in Brooklyn regardless.
Yeah, really.
Because
Boston might be a good idea.
Well, I feel like that depends if Kyrie leaves or not, but I think if none of them come to Brooklyn, you still have a playoff team potentially with the Nets. And he had a great year, why not have another great year,
Mm-hmm.
Why ruin something that's going well for you? And then
True.
If they do come, then great.
And the team's only getting better too in Brooklyn. Ever since that horrible deal with Brooklyn that gave them Paul Pierce and KG and all those picks left, which turned into Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all these really good players today. Brooklyn has kind of revived itself a little bit, but not only is D'Angelo Russell a free agent, but Spencer Dinwiddie is also a free agent. And so with him, and I just read this, they're both considering teams like Phoenix, the four biggest places for D'Angelo Russell, with the biggest probability is Phoenix, Knicks, Jazz, and Lakers was one of them too. I just read a little bit ago. So, and then when you're Spencer Dinwiddie too, you can kind of put him in that same category. The Brooklyn Nets, again, I'm shocked to hear this. Did you ever consider the Nets, Noah, before what Bishmo just said?
No, not really. I mean, I really hadn't thought into that topic a whole lot, but I could see them doing it now that
you brought that up. I feel like I could, if D'Angelo leaves, I could see him going to Phoenix and playing with his boy, Booker.
Oh yeah, Devin Booker.
Phoenix
that same
really
class,
good.
aren't they? Yeah.
And if, depending on it too, I mean, for cap space, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, if Spencer and D'Angelo both go to Phoenix, I think Phoenix is Phoenix. I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team, but I definitely think that will be the foundation too.
I don't see Spencer and D'Angelo going to the same place again because I think this year they'll probably say that they enjoyed playing with each other, but in reality, one of them probably wanted the ball, more than the other did. Spencer Dinwiddie lately, he just kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A couple years ago, won the friggin' skills challenge at the All-Star game, and after that, he just kind of skyrocketed. And him and D'Angelo kind of split time last year. But no, that's pretty interesting. The Brooklyn Nets are going to play a huge part in this. Another buy or sell I have for you. Recently, R.J. Hampton, one of the top 5 recruits in the nation, he was going to go to Kansas. He said this on a podcast the other day. He was going to go to Kansas. I'm sure every Kansas fan probably crying themselves to sleep that night that they couldn't get RJ, but oh no, Kansas isn't going to get another 5-star recruit. They can probably pull one out of their backyard. But do you buy or sell because of his decision to go and play overseas in New Zealand where he can get paid right away? Do you buy? No, I'll start with you. Do you buy that this is going to become a trend for high school players who are wanting to get paid now?
I don't know if it's – I could see it becoming a trend, but I don't know if I agree if it's the right type, with the right decision to do, because it's a different play style and the competition is not as good overseas as you probably face in college basketball. And I could see like college basketball, just the style, it almost feels like it's more related to the NBA in a way, more than overseas, because overseas is a lot of
especially in New
fundamentals.
Zealand too.
Yeah, exactly. It's more fundamental game and just not really related to the NBA.
I mean, that brings a good point. I was actually watching ESPN a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about this, and they're saying that the G League might start allowing people like RJ in this.
Like high school players?
Yeah, high school players to go to the G League instead of overseas.
Yeah, it is interesting. Now, the NBA did recently just change it. Players will be able to come out of high school straight to the NBA, I think in a couple of years. I'll fact check that while you guys are talking. But even when they do change that rule, I feel like some high school players, while they're going to be in the top 50 recruits in the nation, they're not going to feel like maybe they're ready for the NBA draft. And so with that, do you, like Beast Mode, would you, if you were a top 20 recruit, but you looked at the NBA and you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to play yet. Would you go to college, or would you or are you that money hungry where you want to get paid right away?
I think a lot has to do with it. I think
because
a lot of it has to do with
quick counterpoint. Whether or not we want to admit it, money is the reason why RJ is playing
right
in overseas.
Yeah.
If he got paid in college, he would definitely be going.
And I don't think the decision has anything to do with the actual game of basketball. I mean, everybody's situation is different, and
right, yeah,
stuff does happen where you go to college and things just don't work out that well, or you get hurt, you get injured, and your career is over.
Right, yeah, kind of like Noah was saying there. It wasn't a basketball decision, I don't think. It was a money decision. It was a family decision. His family's actually going to move to New Zealand with him.
Right.
Like the competition is going to be better in the States, but you can get paid when you're in, overseas. And
right.
Now, do you guys think that being that the competition may not be as good, do you think that maybe NBA scouts are going to look at them and if he doesn't dominate, that's not going to be good for him. If he's not putting up 25, 30 points a game over in New Zealand, that might be a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because even when Luka Doncic and Kristaps and they came into the NBA, everybody always had the doubts because competition's not as good. So it definitely will make people think about him more, consider him more closely. So decide if they want to draft him. And I think it could drop him down a couple draft spots for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And also back to the thing on going to college, it just really depends on your background, I think. If you just really want to focus on NBA only and that's what you think, you're that confident that you're going to make it and stay in there, then okay, then overseas isn't the worst idea if you don't want to do school also. But also that's why some players I think go to college basketball is because they want to get their degree, so then just in case basketball doesn't work out, how they plan, let's say an injury or something, they can still get a job and make a living.
Right. And lately, guys that have stayed all 4 years aren't doing too bad in the NBA. You see Malcolm Brogdon, he was a 4-year guy. I like what he's doing. Draymond Green, another 4-year guy. And John Morant, he wasn't a one-and-done guy. John Morant will probably be top 3 pick here. We'll get into the NBA draft a little bit later. We're going to break that down pretty well. Let's get into another topic, though. Major League Baseball. Now, this is kind of going straight from the NBA right to Major League Baseball. All right, Major League Baseball. Last week, Albert Almora Jr., the Chicago Cubs, y'all know the story. He raked the ball to the left side and hit a little girl in the head, and that sparked the debate that's been going on for a little while now. Before the 2018 season, the MLB expanded the netting to go at least to the edge of the dugouts. Not all teams did that, actually. I can't remember the team that didn't do it. My dad told me the other day. It's not off the top of my head.
It was an AL team, wasn't it?
I think so. It might have been the Astros.
Maybe
I think it was the Astros, which is kind of ironic. But that sparked the debate. Does the MLB need more netting? Now, me and Noah were talking about this a little bit earlier tonight. We kind of have the same opinion on this. I don't know Bishmo's yet. We'll find out his in a second. But Noah, kind of explain where you and I stand in terms of more netting. Like, we care about the safety of people, yes, but
I mean, like, if you buy tickets for seats that close, like, you have to pay attention to the game, and you have to think, I guess, ahead of time. Like, okay, if I have a little kid here, like, you are responsible for protecting them or making sure that they pay attention to the game. And I don't think, I mean, yes, we care about the safety of people, but, like, extra netting would definitely ruin the view of the seats, I think, personally, because it's just not as good, like, to see the game with a net in front of you when you're that close.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
It definitely ruins the, like, I guess, like, the special seats, special moment or special view of those seats that you paid a lot more to get.
Right, yeah.
And so I just think, you just have to pay attention. I know that those things are coming out fast, but you just
I mean, if it's your kids, you would put your life on the line for your kids, right?
You always step in front of it or move her out the way. Or
When I was at a game last year, at a Chicago Cubs game, I was sitting right behind the dugout. And when I heard that I was going to be able to sit behind the dugout, I was like, oh, heck yeah, that's going to be awesome. And be lots of toss-ups from players. That didn't happen, though, because the netting was blocking my view of the dugout. And honestly, when you're at a game like that, when you're at your little brother's baseball game, having to look through the fence isn't really that big of a deal. But when you're at a game like that, you pay so much money for the tickets, and you have to look through that net. I get that you want to be safe, but that's, I don't know. You just, again, like Noah said, if you're a parent, you have to know that that's going to happen at some point.
Yes, that thought has to, like, cross your mind, like, okay, there may be a foul ball or a line drive that comes our way that we just have to be ready for.
Right. So, Bishmo, let me let you piggyback off something here. Do you think, one of the arguments I've heard is there should be age restrictions for certain seating areas. Do you buy or sell that?
I sell that. I don't think that's a good point. And I think at the end of the day, like, the MLB is a business, and every organization is trying to make as much money as they can, and I feel like the value of the ticket definitely goes down because, half the time if you're a parent, you get good seats like that. You want to take your kids for the experience and stuff like that. But I agree with you guys on that. If you buy tickets like that with your hardworking money, I feel like it's your responsibility to look out for your kids and yourself. And I feel like if they did expand the nets, it definitely takes away the value of it. And being that close to players, and that's stuff that little kids look up to, and kids go to games just so they can get a ball. Freak stuff happens all the time, and I feel like this is one of those where, it happens, not saying it's completely the parents' fault. It happens, but I think it depends if this occurs more often or not. But I think as of right now, I feel like it's more of it's a bit more of an issue with the fans than it is the players.
Interesting. excuse me, I think this certain situation kind of opens up a broader question about baseball, because stuff like this really hasn't been like in the media or whatever. Like, we aren't just hearing about this until very recently, with people getting hit in the head. I think because of how fast, information can travel now. Maybe stuff like this was happening a while ago and no one really knew about it. But now that we know about it, in 5 seconds, maybe that's kind of inflated the whole argument now. Baseball lately, they've been losing attendance. Last year, attendance was down 6%. And Major League Baseball is trying to create all these new rules for the players to speed the game up a little bit. Now, I've heard, I don't know where you guys stand on this. Personally, I still have the capacity to watch a full baseball game without doing anything else. Now, for a lot of people, I'd say 90% of the people, that's not the case. Would you guys take some course of action to maybe speed the game up a little bit, or do you guys think it's fine how it is and people just maybe need to just actually watch the game for once?
I think people just need to watch the game. I feel like for true baseball fans, what makes baseball is the fact that it is a longer game and it's grimy and you got to grind it out, and I think I feel like if you're, just as the MLB, you're always trying to find new ways to make the game better in every aspect, regardless if it's the fan's perspective or the player's perspective. But they've cut down the mound visits as well. But I feel like right now we're in a good place as far as that goes, and I don't really want to see it change, because I feel like the more that we change it, as time goes on, man, it's kind of like you take an inch and you get a mile. The game is gonna, who knows, 60, 50 years from now, baseball might not even be the same.
Right, true. And I think, but with your argument there, I think as diehard baseball fans, I think we have a different perspective. And I think the MLB is worried about losing the casual fan, the one who's not necessarily diehard, but they say they like a team though.
Well, like if you're at the stadium, it's 10 times easier to obviously pay attention for the whole game. But like if you're watching it on TV, I can see sometimes where it's like you lose it because like there's always these challenges on plays and just so many commercial breaks, like almost like back to back basically, because it's after every half inning. But one thing I would change, I guess, I don't know if it'll I don't think it would change the time of the game, but just like being able to look at the play, then deciding if you want to challenge it or not. I don't think that's like there's no risk in it to where like you can look at the play, like you call somebody and have them look at the play and decide if you want to challenge that play or not. I think the challenge that you have it one challenge basically, and it's a risk. I think you actually have to take. Not okay, I know it's going to be for sure it's going to be overturned, or for sure no, I don't want to do this type thing.
All right, so that'll conclude basically the content portion. Again, it's kind of the introductory episode to our what I'll do when I have guests on. Again, thank you guys for coming. We're going to end one last segment here is our bets of the week. Basically, we're just going to predict the upcoming sporting event, and we'll review it later, see where we were right, see where we were wrong. Let's start off with the NHL right now. As we're watching,
2-1.
The Blues are beating the Bruins 2-1 right now. It was 2-0, but the Bruins made it a 1-goal game. We're not going to get any more into that. This is just when we were filming it. Guys, we're obviously not hockey experts, but based on the fact that the Blues were down 2-1, if they hold on to win here, they'll be up 3-2, heading to a game 6 at home. Now, just from that information, would you feel good about if you had $100? How much are you going to bet on the Blues to win this series, and how much are you going to bet on the Bruins to win this series? If the Blues hold on to win this game,
Blues hold off to win this game, I would put my money towards the Blues.
Okay.
Yeah, same. Obviously, since they haven't been in this, like all the hype and momentum, especially if they win this game, and the hype just since they haven't been in haven't won one since.
They've never. won
I
one.
know, but technically,
It's been a long time. Yeah, I would
definitely have.
I don't want them to win because I'm not a huge fan of that whole city. But if they win tonight and Game 6 at home after winning 2 in a row, that's going to be tough for the Bruins to recover. NBA Finals, boys. Game 4 tomorrow night. I'm having a hard time being confident with the Warriors anymore. If Klay's not there.
If Klay plays, I feel like actually no, the Warriors. Let's be real. I think the Warriors are going to win no matter what.
Think so?
It's home. It's at their home, and they aren't the type of team to drop 2 at home, back to back, especially in like a big time like this. I just don't like they've done it before, but I just don't see it really happening.
If I have a bet, I'm going to say if Klay plays, the Warriors will win. If he doesn't, I am going to make it interesting, and I am going to say that the Raptors will win.
All right, and
I could see it.
And quick update: just tweeted. Klay Thompson is playing in Game 4.
Yeah, Warriors.
So
Warriors.
I'm going to pick the Warriors.
Me too.
Would y'all be surprised if the Raptors won, though?
I would not be.
I would not be surprised.
Now,
if the
with that
Raptors
being
win.
said, like Game 5 is going to be in Toronto, and if they're down 3-1, I mean they did come back from 1-3 only before against the Thunder a few years ago. Wouldn't it be kind of funny if KD came back for Game 5 and helped them erase the 3-1 deficit?
I could see Kevin Durant coming back, and I could see them winning I could see him winning a Game 5, but I don't see them coming back 3-1.
Even with KD?
Even with KD, I just don't see. I don't see the Raptors not getting the job done.
I think it would all depend on how the Raptors perform in those games. Like when he comes back, if the Raptors are hanging in close, I would be nervous as a Warriors fan if you did go down 3-1. If the Warriors win Game 4, I think they win the series, honestly. Because even though Game 5 is in Toronto, there's going to be a huge break in between there, 2 or 3 days. KD is going to have time to recover. I think if he comes back and the Warriors have won at least 2 games, I think it's over for the Raptors. I think the Warriors just have too much.
I don't know. If the Warriors win here, it really just depends on how Game 4 and 5 go.
Mm-hmm.
If, let's say, the Raptors win Game 5 but like lose Game 4, then I could see it. I could see the Warriors winning that because then it's 3-2. If it's 3-2 and KD comes back, I could see the Warriors pulling it off.
Gotcha. Well, boys, that'll about wrap up episode 1. 2 guests, Bishmo and T-Sauce. Thank you guys for coming on the podcast. We will see you guys on Friday. I know I said I was going to release this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Forgive me, it's the first week. Next week, we'll start off on a regular schedule. I had a lot of crap going on this week. It just, you guys will understand. I'll get better, I promise. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you guys next time.
Yes.